Father, please take me higher and thinking revelation and
called
spiritual
Hebrew
fire.
History Month, which my Ish, who's waiting on the resurrection,
Praise Yahweh.
Yahweh had him declare February, which the world calls Black History Month, as Hebrew History Month because it's talking about us as black people.
Yes.
And we are in the last installment for this year, these for 2018 that will be aired in 2018.
Hallelujah.
And the title of the lesson is, "And Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground." And Yahweh has had us looking at, He formed man of the dust of the ground, and He made him in His image and after His likeness. So then, what did Adam actually look like? And Yahweh has given us descriptions throughout the Bible of what he looks like, what his son looks like, and so what Adam looks like. And we even saw the National Geographic DVD, which showed us at the end, after they did the Y chromosome and compared men throughout the world, that Adam, the first man, was a black man. And he also had a beard. All right? So we are going to start out in Genesis, the 9th chapter. Genesis, the 9th chapter. So in the Bible, Genesis chapters 10 and 11 constitute what is known as the Table of Nations. Each of Noah's sons represented the beginning of the 3 divisions of humans called races. There were 2 races of full color and 1 race of minimal color. Shem are people of color, called Negroid and Mongoloid, black, brown, and yellow. Ham are people of color, called Negroid, black, and brown. And Japheth, or Japheth, are people of minimal color, called Caucasian or white. So we're in Genesis, Bereshith, the 9th chapter, Genesis 9, and we are going to start reading at verse 18. Genesis 9. And let's read verse 18, please. Genesis 9. Genesis 9. And let's read verse 18. Genesis 9. First book.
Okay. But with thee.
Genesis 9, chapter 9, and then verse 18.
Praise Yahweh.
Let's slow down. Relax. Genesis 9, and then verse 18.
And the sons of Noah
There you go.
that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham. And Japheth and Ham is the father of Canaan.
All right, and Haban, or the sons of Noach, that came out of the ark, were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is Ha'aba of Canaan. All right, verse 19, please.
These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread.
Now it says, these are the 3 Ban, or sons of Noach, and of them was the whole arid or earth overspread. That's after the flood.
That's right.
Because Yahweh killed everybody except for 8 people. All right, Noach and his Ishshah, Ham and his Ishshah, Shem and his Ishshah, and Japheth and his Ishshah. All right, so the descendants of Noah's 3 sons literally became nations of people. 70 nations, countries, and languages. And all the countries where the 3 sons settled were originally named after them. Let's go to Genesis, the 10th chapter. So what has happened in the world is that the names of things have been changed. So sometimes it makes it a little more difficult to go back to find out what the name of the original country was. But all we have to do is go to the Bible and see what Yahweh named it. All right? We're in Genesis, the 10th chapter. We're going to read one verse, verse 32. Genesis 10. Genesis 10. And let's read verse 32, please.
These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth. after the flood.
So if you want to know what the original names of the countries were, go in Genesis 10 chapter and find out. It says, these are Ha-Mishpokah of Haban of Noach, after their generations, in their Goi, and by these were Ha-Goi divided in Ha-Eret after the flood.
Okay.
So this is what all the provinces were named. And it's very easy. I had someone ask me to give me a chart of the Goi or the Gentiles and their nations over there in Europe where they first settled. And all you have to do is go look it up on the web. But I just happen to have it on the computer, and I went and I printed it out for them. And it tells you about how they settled in Russia and, you know, and Italy and different areas like that. But we're not dealing with them.
Right.
So Yahweh saying after the flood, so Yahweh programmed genetic boundaries into Noah's son as a protective measure to ensure that each genetic pool of the races would remain separate no matter how much intermingling took place.
Okay.
And you have people that want to say, well, you know, it's so mingled and it's so messed up, and then no, Yahweh programmed it in there.
Praise to
and
my
you can't get it out. Because there are some of us that are not intermingling as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
We're staying within our tribe.
That's what it
I
does,
don't say
Yahweh.
race, we're staying within our tribe.
Right.
All right, let's go to Leviticus,
Praise to my
22nd chapter. So Yahweh programmed these genetic codes in there.
Uh-huh.
And no matter how much you intermingle and mixed, the codes are still in there.
Yes, they are.
Leviticus 22. Okay, let's see, Leviticus 22. Alright, and we're gonna start at verse 12.
Praise Yahweh.
22nd chapter. Everybody got it? Say praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
Alright, Leviticus 22 and verse 12 reads, 22 and 12, please.
If the priest's daughter also be married under a stranger, she may not eat of an offering of the holy things.
Whoa.
All right, so now here's Yahweh saying, all right,
Whoa.
the priestly tribe,
Whoa.
he said she's supposed to marry a Levite.
Okay.
If Ha-Kohen's Beth also be married to a stranger, she may not eat of the offering of Kadesh thing.
Huh.
Why? Because she's supposed to marry a Levite.
Right. That
Okay?
says Yahweh.
And you may say, you know what, I don't really know, what my tribe is, but you know you're not a Japhethite.
Yeah.
So, you understand? You know that if somebody came over here into the Western Hemisphere as a slave, you understand that's probably a Shemite.
Yeah.
So, you may not know whether you're Judah, Benjamin, or Levi.
Okay.
Although Yahweh said that the priestly tribe, Yehudah, which is part Benjamin and part Levi, would be in the North Country, over
Okay.
here in the U.S. of A.
Hallelujah. Y'all right, Rob. Tell like this.
All right, let's go to Numbers, the 34th chapter. So we just wanted to see that.
Right.
Because Yahweh said, hey, if she be married to a stranger, that cuts her off
Okay.
from eating of the holy things.
Uh-huh.
All right, Numbers 34. Numbers 34th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 14.
Praise Yahweh.
Yeah, you just use your table of contents. Numbers 34.
Okay, what now?
All right, Numbers 34, and then verse 14. If everybody got it, say praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
All right, let's read verse 14, please. Numbers 34 and verse 14 reads,
For the tribe of the children of Reuben, according to the house of their fathers, and the tribe of the children of Gad, according to the house of their fathers, have received their inheritance, and half the tribe of Messiah have received their inheritance.
all right, he said, for the tribe of Haban of Reuben, according to Habite of their Abba, and the tribe of Haban of Gad, according to Habite of their Abba, have received their inheritance, and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance. So we went through this when Yahshua was doing Hebrew History Month, and he was showing how the tribe took possession of the land of Canaan. But Yahweh is just letting us know, hey, Yahweh does this thing according to tribes and according to peoples. So he said, this tribe of the children of Reuben, well, in other words, they were all Reubenites.
Right.
Men and women.
Yes.
And again, okay, we're over here in the North Country. We were in slavery. But you know, a Japhetite is not a tribe of Reuben. It's like, that's a no-brainer.
Right. Should be.
Okay, but people, you can do what you want to do.
Right.
Because different people have always lusted after.
Okay.
And Israel included, lusted after different people from different ethnic groups. And Yahweh is not a racist.
No, he's not.
But he did set boundaries, and he wants to keep those boundaries intact. So naturally, what Yahweh wants to keep intact, then man will start lusting, and then he just, like Yahweh said, that's why he sent the flood, because the men were looking at the beauty of somebody or what they look like, instead of saying, oh, this disqualifies her.
Right. Just like
she's
today.
not of this tribe. She's not a Shemite. This disqualifies her. I cannot marry her.
Right.
I'm prevented from that by Yahweh.
Thus says
It's
Yahweh.
not just how good you look, but now, you know, nowadays, it's all about, oh, hey, does he look good? Does she look good? Because Yahweh is not in the equation.
That's right. Yahweh, right. Tell like this.
Right. Let's go to Numbers 36th chapter.
Praise the mighty God.
Numbers 36th chapter. And let's start at verse 5. Numbers 36 and verse 5 reads,
And Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of Yahweh, saying, The tribe of the sons of Joseph have said well.
All right, now here's something that the tribes of the son of Yahshua said. And Moshe Sabah, ha-ban of Israel, according to Hadabar of Yahweh. Now this is from Yahweh.
Right.
Amar, the tribe of Haban of Yasuf has Amar well. Well, they said well. What did they say?
Okay.
All right, verse 6.
This is the thing which Yahweh doth command concerning the daughters of Zebulun, saying, Let them marry to whom they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry.
Say what? So again, he's telling these women.
Yeah.
And Yahweh said there's a Kad Torah, one law. So it doesn't mean the women just have to marry within the tribe. It's talking about the men too.
Right.
He said, this is what they said. This is the thing which Yahweh doth Sabbath. This is Yahweh's commandment. Concerning Habeth, or the daughters of Zelophehad, Amar, let them marry to whom they think best, only to Hamishpakah, the tribe of their Abba, shall they marry. So they couldn't just, he said, okay, within that tribe.
Right.
Marry whom they think best.
Right.
And there was a reason for that. All right, verse 7.
So shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers.
All right, so he says, so shall not the inheritance of our band of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. Well, you have us today as a whole, they don't have no inheritance, they don't have nothing. They don't have land, houses, nothing. All right, so this is one of the reasons that Yahweh said to keep it within the tribe. And then you have this religious group which made the priests not be able to marry, so they could confiscate their property. Well, so they copied that after Yahweh. But Yahweh said, you marry within your tribe, so then you'll always have land, you'll always have possessions, you'll always have something. But in this system that we're in, it's about us having nothing to be dependent on them.
Okay, y'all right,
That's not from Yahweh.
No, it's not.
That's being under the curse.
Yes,
so
it is.
those of us that are coming to Yahweh, we're out from under the curse.
Hallelujah.
All right, verse 8.
And every daughter that possesseth the inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be wife unto one of the family of the tribe of the father. And the children of Israel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his father.
So Yahweh is looking past us to our children and our children's children. He said, and every bat that possesses an inheritance in any tribe. Okay, so that took it out of you. Know, some people will say, well, you know what? I'm not in that tribe. It's just talking about those daughters. Yahweh said in any tribe.
Right,
now,
right.
of Haban of Israel shall be Ishshah unto Akkad of Hamishbokah of the tribe of her Abba. So whatever my father's tribe is, my father was a Shemite. So that's why I married a Shemite.
Right, right.
And plus, I didn't find him. He came and found me.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
You got some people thinking, yeah, you know, it's whoever I pick. No, no, no. I concurred with the pick once I understood it was from Yahweh. But my husband was looking. It says, he finds a Ishshah.
That's right. Thus
finds a
says
good
Yahweh.
thing. So I can go do all the picking I want. Yahweh's not going to sanction that. Why? Because I'm not supposed to be out there doing
That's
it.
right.
That's not my place.
Right.
He knows where to tell the man to come and
Hallelujah.
find us as women.
Right, right.
He said, shall be married unto the tribe of her father,
Okay.
that Haban of Israel may samak every Adam the inheritance of his Abba or fathers. So we can come here with something, not with nothing, and then looking to, you know, lay up on somebody else to give us something. Why? Because the fathers and the mothers didn't follow Yahweh's laws. That's why some of us come in with nothing, because we didn't follow what Yahweh said.
That's right. Y'all right. Tell it like it is.
And born up in here under the curse. Let's read verse 9 and then we're going to move on.
Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another tribe, but every one of the tribes of the children of Israel shall keep himself to his own inheritance.
All right, he said, and the inheritance shall not remove from tribe to tribe, but every Akkad of the tribes of Haban of Israel shall shema himself to his own inheritance.
Okay.
So this is a conscious thing that we were supposed to do.
Right.
Let's go to Revelation, the 14th chapter. The three races are characterized by certain dominant genetic characteristics. They were to remain independent to realize the maximum capacity of humanity, and attempts to commingle them would never defeat Yahweh, deliberately making them different. You're never going to defeat it.
Never.
Even if you do like Constantine and order people to shaka on the first day of the week. There's still some of us that shaka on the seventh day of the week.
Praise the
Like
mighty
Yahweh
Yahweh.
said.
You always say every remnant.
All right, Revelation 14. And we're going to read verse 6. If you got to say praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
All right, Revelation 14 and verse 6 reads.
And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting good news to preach, and them that dwell on the earth, and to everyone, every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and the people.
All right, so
Hallelujah.
here's Yachanan saying, I saw another Malach fly in the midst of Shemayim, having the everlasting doctrine to Yahra, or preach unto them that dwell on Ha'eret, and to every Goe and kindred and tongue and people. So we see it's always going to be kindred, tongue, and people.
Right, right.
We're always going to be separate. No matter how much people lust to have people from other races. And you got some famous figures who shall remain nameless.
Right, right.
But it started way back with this basketball player, I believe he was. And he turned his back, and all he lusted after was Japhethites. Well, now we got a more current version,
Yeah.
and all he, lust after is Japhethites. Well, I'm not upset with the brother.
Right, right.
But, it's like the slave master said, you couldn't have them.
Right.
You just figure, ooh, I made it.
I know,
Ooh,
right?
I'm going to get him. All right? But again, that just shows that you don't know who you are.
That's it.
You don't know what your creator
Tell it like
said.
it is, bro.
Okay, let's go back to Genesis, the 11th chapter. So the earth still reveals the 2/3 ratio of people of full color and the 1/3 ratio of minimal color. The people of color, which are Shemites and Hamites, we're Shemites,
Yes.
used to live close to each other and
Yes, we
within the
did.
same countries.
Uh-huh.
In Hebrew History Month, we're looking at the Shemites and the Hebrews who came from Noah's son named Shem.
Okay, praise.
All right,
Mighty Yahweh.
Genesis the 11th chapter.
Hallelujah.
So Shem in Hebrew is, they say it's supposed to be pronounced shame, but then you can't really trust the concordance.
I know, right? Ain't no shame.
Ishshah wrote the concordance, so
All
Each got a
right.
part in it. So some you can take and some the
That's
Ruach says,
right.
no, throw that out.
Let the
That's not
Ruach
right.
lead you.
Yes. It's found at Strong's number 8035, the Hebrew, and means name or renown.
Yes,
so really
it
it
is.
means famous.
Yes.
Well, we Shemites are so famous, you got everybody in the world claiming that they're Shemites.
Okay.
I was talking to a brother at Sam's Club yesterday, and he's telling me about the Chinese tribe and the this tribe and the that tribe of Israel,
Huh.
and you can't find that in Scripture.
I know, right?
But again,
make up stuff.
it's said everybody wants to be Shem,
Yes.
wants to be Israel, but Israel.
But
Everybody's claiming to be a descendant of Mashiach, but Israel.
huh.
And that just reflects that the one that's really blind and not saying who they are,
Huh.
those are the real ones.
Yes, we are.
All right? So Shem, scientists have discovered Shem's name on an ancient Hebrew seal
Huh.
in Phoenician
Praise
scripts.
Yahweh.
So now you're talking about Hebrews, which are Shem's people. Now Phoenician, now you're talking about Ham's people, these two people of color.
Okay.
So they created the first writing. So now they're saying scientists have found on the seal talking about Shem. All right? The Hamites wrote about Shem. Shem is the father of the Shemites. He's the second oldest son of Noah. He was born 98 years before the flood when his father was 502.
Huh.
All right? And I used to think, you know what, it's nice that, they live that long. And come on, I don't want to. It really, when you get to a certain point and you just see all the stuff out here,
The man
it's
is
like, you know what, Father? I don't want to leave any sooner than I finish what
right,
you
right,
want me
right.
to do.
Praise Yahweh.
But at the same time, I admire these brothers and sisters that live to be 500, 600
Wow.
years old. Because just imagine all the stuff that they had to put up with,
Yeah.
especially the ones before the flood.
Yep.
Because it must have been horrible. Yahweh had to kill everybody except for 8 people. So imagine,
Mm.
the stuff we see out here must have been, 50 times worse.
Yeah.
All right, Genesis 11, and let's read verse 10, please.
Praise Yahweh.
These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and began a Pex 2 years after the flood.
All right, it says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat our Faxit 2 years after the flood. So now we've crossed over the flood. All right, let's go to Genesis 7th chapter. So Shem, his wife, his parents, who is Noah and his wife, his 2 brothers, who is Ham and Japheth, and their wives went into the ark, and they were saved from the flood.
Right.
All right, Genesis 7, and let's read one verse. Verse 7. Genesis
Praise
7,
Yahweh.
and let's read verse 7, please. So now we're dealing with black folks here.
Teach it.
Except for
Yahweh.
Japheth, and I don't know what his wife, Yahweh doesn't say what his wife was like, but he was of minimal color,
Okay.
Caucasian, all right? And he settled in Europe. Genesis 7, read verse 7, please.
And Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives, with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood.
All right, so here we see these are the 8 people that went into the ark or the boat. These are the ones that got saved, and they crossed over when everybody else got destroyed.
Uh-huh.
All right, go to Genesis the 9th chapter.
Praise to my
So it says,
Yah.
Noah went in, and his bond, and his Ishshah, and his bond Ishshah with him into the ark because of Hamayim of the flood. So the Bible reveals that Japheth or Japheth, people of minimal color, Caucasians, would dwell in the tents of Shem. That means they would colonize and take over the countries where Shem was.
Okay.
It also said that Canaan would be Japheth's servant.
Okay.
That's why you see this worldwide colonization of Japheth people. So Yahweh said it was going to come to that.
Yahweh, Ra,
Genesis 9,
Asam,
and let's read verse 27. So then people say, well, how come black people not in power in here and here? They already been in power.
Yeah.
They were in power first.
Right.
Now it's the Japhethites'
Till
turn.
Yahshua return.
Genesis 9 and verse 27 reads,
Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
all right, so here in Genesis, Yahweh said this is how it's going to
Thus
be
says Yahweh.
at the end time. He said, Elohim shall enlarge Japheth. Enlargement equals colonization.
Right, right. Spread abroad the
And the
world.
Portuguese started it way back, what, 1200s or 1300s. And they went over to the, the Caribbean, West Indies. And then, so you had the French and the Dutch, all of these coming over to America. And because if you know your American history, then you read, okay, well, this European bought it from this European country.
Right.
And they had split it up and different things. Well, this is what it's talking about.
Right.
Elohim shall enlarge Japheth, that's colonization.
Right.
He shall dwell in the tents of Shem.
Huh.
So when you look over there at what's called the Middle East, Iran and Iraq, Arabia, that's not Shem over there. It used to be Shem.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
Y'all
when you
right,
study it
right.
out in Genesis the 10th chapter, Shem and Ham settled over there, and you can really see it nowadays over in what's called Africa. Used to be called the land of Ham. So you're looking at them, Canaan being servants of Yahweh
Yep.
now.
Yep.
And I just saw this thing on Mandela. And so you can see it's just the same identical thing that they do when they colonize.
Yep.
But this is the scripture being fulfilled.
Hallelujah.
So when people say, yeah, and I'm going to, an Arab is running the store. No, it's not. That's a Japhethite. All the Arabs were black folks.
Okay, y'all right.
All the people what's called the Middle East were black people.
Tell it like
That
it
whole
is.
area has been changed.
Yep.
The
Just like,
complexion.
just
It's
like
been
y'all
made
said.
into a European. Now they're calling themselves Arabs and Armenians and all that. But I've got a chart here where I'm not going to read all of it, but just to let you know, all right? So this verse in Genesis 9:27 refers to the wholesale displacing and transplanting through Japhethite colonization, which ended in 700 AD. It started before that, but it ended in 700 AD. And then you got people saying, see, Muhammad, this and that. He was a Japhethite. Just like all the people over there.
Okay, they come from
Except
Japheth.
now, every now and then they may show you some original people, but they try not to.
Yeah.
And then you see some people that's pitch black, like we were talking about King Shelomah last week. Jetty black, jet black.
Right.
And then you just see one or two of them.
Yeah.
But then you see, the rest of the Caucasians that have taken over their country. All right? So, it ended in 700 AD of previously occupied Shemite lands. The Japhethites are ruling the world now and dwelling in the tents of Shem with Canaan as their servants.
Yep.
And if you think they're not, just look around. And no matter what country you go to, there's a few over there in the land of Ham that are kind of, independent. But basically, you got Japhethite all over the globe.
Yep.
In power,
Yes.
running their countries. All right? And you got the black folks pushed over in a corner somewhere.
Right.
That's why you have ministries saying, okay, can we build a well for them because they got to drink this same water that the cows are, doing number 2 and whatever and all kind of beasts and oxen, and the water look like filth. And then you have the little children drinking it and dying. Why? Because the Japhethites have moved them off into a corner, and now they're over there. Talking about I'm an Afrikaner and all that.
Right.
So don't be upset with them. This this was prophesied to happen.
Just
And when all of us get back in right standing with Yahweh,
Hallelujah.
then it stops.
Yes, it does.
All right? The black Shemites originally settled in the northern area of the Persian Gulf. So the original Persians were of Shem.
Praise the mighty
It
God.
looked like you and me.
Right.
All right? And westward into the Indian Ocean, including the land of Syria. The original Syrians were
Okay.
black folks. Chaldea, parts of Assyria, and the Arabian Peninsula. So with this chart, I'm just going to read real quick the name of Shem's sons and let you know where they settled. And these were all black folks.
Okay.
All right? And then we'll move on. All right, he had a son named Elam. These were the Mesopotamians, the Babylonian dwellers, and the Assyrian dwellers. Now remember, Yahweh had showed us about the cradle of civilization.
Right, right.
And what scientists call it. Sumeria, Mesopotamia. What are you talking about? Shemites, right?
Okay.
We saw scientific Adam. And Adam, before Shem, you can't really say he was a Shemite, but Shem was in his lineage.
Right.
That's the
right.
righteous lineage. All right? Ashur, they were the Assyrians and the northern Iraqis. So for all these, suicide bombers and all that stuff, these are Caucasians doing that.
Okay.
They say I'm a, Iraqi. No, you just happen to live there. Just like we happen to live in,
Right,
North America. And now we do have the citizenship, but we have triple citizenship. I was going to say dual. We're American. We're Shemite. And then we're spiritual Israel.
Hallelujah.
So we're citizens in the kingdom. We have triple citizenship.
Hallelujah.
Just because I live over here, that didn't change me from being a Puerto Rican or whatever.
No, it did not.
And I'm not a Puerto Rican. I'm just using that as an example.
Okay.
All right. Arphaxad, Chaldeans, Southern Iraqis, Hebrews, Israelites, Jews, Arabians, Bedouins, Moabites, Jordanians, Palestinians. Lud, these were the Lydians. Berbers, Asia Minors, North Africans. So some of Shem, our people settled in North Africa.
Okay.
All right. Aram, Arameans, Syrians, Damascus dwellers, Armenians, Persians, Iranians, Southwest Asians. So some of Shem settled in Asia. All right. Uz, are Arameans, Syrians, Lebanese, Asia dwellers, Middle Easterners, North Africa dwellers, Southwest Asian dwellers, Persians. Hull, Syrians, Asians. Gether, Lebanese, West Asians, Mediterranean Sea dwellers. So there were some, they were in North Africa, but they were right there across the sea from Europe, which is Japheth people, Italy and Greece and all that.
Praise the mighty God.
All right, those are black folks. Mash, Asians, Middle Easterners, Iraqis, Iranians, so there's Iran.
All right.
Those people were originally black.
Hallelujah.
And the country wasn't named Iran.
Right.
Afghanistanians,
Huh.
those were originally black folks. North Africans, Ibryi, Hebrews, Joktan, Arabians, Almodad, Arabians, Sheleph, Arabians, Hazarmaveth, Arabians.
Huh.
So you got 4 sons of Shem that were black Arabians.
Right.
Well, you go over on Devon or wherever, and some people say, okay, those are Arabians. How many do you see walking, how many black Arabians do you see walking up?
None.
None. Why? Because Japheth is dwelling in the tents of Shem. All right? So Hazarmaveth was the Arabians, Persians, Southwest Asians, Indian Ocean dwellers, and the Red Sea dwellers. Jerah, Southern Arabians. Hadoram, Arabia Felix dwellers. Uzal, Yemenites. Now you heard the term Yemen, right?
Right.
You got Isob all up in Yemen. And,
Praise the mighty Yah.
The original were Shem's people. Dikla, Arabians, Persians, Southwest Asians, Indian Ocean dwellers, Red Sea dwellers. Obal, Arabians. Abimael, Arabians. Sheba, Southern Arabians, Yemenites. Arabia Felix dwellers. Sabaeans, Ophir, Southwest Arabian, African seaboard dwellers. Havilah, North Central African dwellers. All right? In Genesis 10:25.
Praise the mighty
So
Yah.
you shouldn't have any doubt right now.
Nah, it should be
Anybody in talking about, yeah, you know that Arab? No.
You know that imposter?
Right, there you go. They have just assumed Shem's identity, dwelling in his tents because they wanted his land. Genesis 10, and let's read one verse, verse 25. Genesis 10 and verse 25 reads.
And unto Ibryi were born 2 sons. The name of one was Pig, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
All right, it says, and unto Ibryi were born 2 Ban. Hashem of Ekkad was Peleg, for in his Yowm was Ha'eret divided, and his ox Shem was Joktan. So Ibryi is one of the few original Hebrew words in the Bible. Now, the Bible was translated from Hebrew, Aramaic, And this is one of the few Hebrew words that's in the Bible. It's found at Strong's number 5677. And it's referred from Strong's number 5676. It's a primitive root word, abar, at 5674, which means to cross over.
Okay.
So they say, you know, Hebrews mean they crossed over.
Yep, yep.
All right. It's used very widely to cover, to alter, to go beyond, to bring over, to carry through, to come on, to convey over, to enter, to escape. I mean, there's about 30 words here. All right. Let's go to Genesis 14. So I'm not going to read them all. You just look up Genesis 5677. 5676 and 5674, and then you can see it. Genesis 14.
Praise to mighty Yah.
And let's read verse 13. Now this is where we first see a Shemite being referred to as a Ibryi or Hebrew.
Okay.
All right, Genesis 14 and verse 13 reads,
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Merah, the Anarite brother of Eshcol, and the brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abraham.
all right, he said, and there came Akkad that has escaped and told Abram ha-Ibryi, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, Ak of Eshcol and Ak of Aner, and these were confederate with Abraham. So this first reference we see to anyone being a Hebrew is Abram, whose name was later changed to Abraham. All right. The English word Hebrew is the Hebrew word Ibryi in this verse in Genesis 14th chapter. That's Ibryi, Ibryi, found at Strong's number 5677. It's translated directly from Eber, E-B-E-R, at Strong's number 5677, and means an Ebrite. For example, a Hebrew. So if we didn't search it out, we wouldn't know that when you saw Hebrew, actually you were saying he's an Eber.
Okay.
Because Eber is a Hebrew word. All right? It says he's an Ebrite in 5677, and this word for Hebrew in 56 in Genesis 14 chapter is the exact same word. And it means an Ebrite, for example, a Hebrew or a descendant of Eber, a Hebrewess,
okay,
or a woman. All right, let's go to Genesis 11.
Praise to mighty Yah.
So 2 years after the flood, when Noah's son Shem was 100, he became the father of our Paxit. Now we're looking at the Shemites. We're looking at who are called the Hebrews. The Shemite Hebrew lineage is the righteous lineage Yahweh chose to have Yahshua,
hallelujah,
be born into the earth through. He lists them in Genesis 11 chapter and Luke the 3rd chapter. All right, Genesis 10, and let's start at verse 26. And I think we may just skip over to the New Testament.
Praise
Right,
to
Genesis
mighty
10,
Yah.
11, I'm sorry, and let's read verse 10. Yeah, Genesis 11 and verse 10 reads,
These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
all right, it says, these are the generation of Shem. Shem is the righteous lineage of these black Hebrew people, through which the Messiah came.
Praise Yahweh.
These are the generation of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and he begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. So then you can read on down in here and you can see the names of these other righteous men of Yahweh, talking about black men,
hallelujah,
through which the Messiah came. Because again, scientific Adam, and then Yahweh himself told us what he and Yahshua looked like.
Right.
So we understand what this lineage was.
Hallelujah.
It was some of those black folks that were over there in the Middle East before they got totally colonized and kicked out. Okay, so let's skip down to verse 26.
Praise Yahweh.
Genesis 11, and let's read verse 26, please.
And Terah lived 70 years, and begot Abraham, Nachor, and Ham.
All right, it says, And Terah lived 70 years, and then he begat Abram. We just read about this man Abram, right? He said Abram the Ibryi, the Hebrew.
Right.
So we understand he was of the righteous lineage. And he had some brothers, Nahor and Haran. So now Eber had a son named Peleg. Let's go back to Genesis 10th chapter, verse 25. Genesis 10 and verse 25 reads.
And unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Jotham.
All right, unto Eber, or in other words Hebrew,
Right.
Ibryi were born 2 bonds. Hashem of Akkad was Peleg, for in his Yowm was Ha'era divided, and his Akshem was Jotham. So Peleg was the 5th generation after the flood. And this division, scientists have conjured up and said different things. But what it was talking about was the division of languages surrounding the Tower of Babel.
Okay.
Within this Peleg and Joktan's generation. The Shemites and Hamites. And so let's go to Genesis the 11th chapter. So it's not talking about the earth physically being divided. Although there is what's called the continental drift theory that scientists have come up with, because the earth was at one time, they call it Pangea, one unified body.
Yes, it was.
And something happened to break it apart.
Yep.
Well, that was a war in Shemayim when Yahweh, you know, and Mikael, part of Yahweh's Malachim or angels, kicked Hasatan behind and the 1/3 angels. I mean, they were fighting. Really fighting. And they threw him down. Yahshua said, I saw him fall as lightning. So they didn't get kicked out of Shemayim, just get out. No. They physically threw him out.
It was a war.
And then who's to say that Hasatan, when you look at when these unclean spirits inhabited people, he would have them throwing himself in the fire and, you know, tearing each other and foaming at the mouth and hurting themselves. Well, Hasatan, as evil as he is, he probably did his best to try to tear up the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Before the war in heaven came. But either way, it's not, this earth dividing is not with the birth of these 2 sons. All right, Genesis 11, let's read verse 5, please.
And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built.
So this is talking about the Tower of Babel. These were Hamites that were over there building that tower. And some deceived Shemites. But the righteous people were not over there building the tower. So we were never part of those that got our language confounded or confused. The rest of the world did because they were part of this. But we weren't part of that if you were righteous. Because what would you be doing over there? Just like if you're watching the Sodomite parade, what would you be doing over there if you're a righteous person?
Following Yah.
What are you sitting up watching these people? And when they had the Mardi Gras down there, I was talking to a brother this week, and he said they're not getting a clue. Yahweh keep tearing it up, sending hurricanes and floods and all that stuff, and he said, and they're still going on with this filthiness. So he said. And Yahweh is really talking about Yahshua came down to see the city and the tower which Haban of Adam builded. That lets you know that wasn't our people. The children of men is not talking about angels. It's talking about unrighteous people.
That's right.
Their children. Verse 6.
And Yahweh said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
He said, you know what? People can come together for a whole lot of things. He said, but when you come together for wickedness and to do something against Yahweh for negativity, see, Yahweh's he's pulling that down. He's stopping that. Verse 7.
Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
And verse 8.
So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city.
Because they couldn't talk to each other anymore.
Right.
They had a little different language. And again, The righteous people weren't a part of that. They weren't over there building that tower, talking about to reach into Shemaiah.
Right.
Thinking they can see Yahweh's face. All right? It says, so Yahweh really talking about Yahshua scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all high air, and they left off to build a city. All right? Let's go to, so this Peleg, we'll go to Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter. Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter. This Peleg in Hebrew is found at Strong's number 6389, and it means earthquake. The Hebrew name Peleg refers to Yahweh dividing of the earth's languages at the Tower of Babel. Scientific geologists have theorized that the continents were once connected in one giant supercontinent, which they named Pangea. The Ruach just said that. It says computer images appear to show that all the continents appear to fit together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
With the eastern shores of North and South America conforming to the western shorelines of Europe and Asia. Now the continents could have been separated, as the Ruach just said, during the war in Shemaiah. You want to read about that when the devil had the dumb idea that he could kick Yahweh off his throne. You can read about that in Revelation, the 12th chapter. We're not going to go there. We're just going to Zephaniah. And then you can also read about it in Luke, the 10th chapter, where Yahshua says he saw him fall as lightning from Shemaiah. So the joining of the continents together into one continent, scientific geologists call this the continental drift theory. And they conclude from the continents fitting so perfectly together and the rifts on the ocean floor that the continents were one large mass at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, they could walk.
All right. So now, Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter. Now the Shemites spoke a language which is the earth's oldest and major language upon which all other languages are based.
Praise the mighty Yah.
It is now called Paleo-Hebrew. Zephaniah 3. And let's read one verse. Verse 9. Zephaniah. You gotta say praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
All right. Zephaniah 3 and read verse 9, please.
For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one contempt.
All right, so there is a time, and we are part of those temples that are searching out and going back. And brother yesterday at Sam's Club showed me on the web, and he's saying, so, you know, this Yahweh's name? And I said, you know what, brother? It's not God, Jesus, and Lord. So, we're still searching.
Right.
Said, we know what it's not, and so Yahweh is taking us
Praise
for what
Yahweh.
it is. And I said, so, you know, you just continue.
Right.
I said,
That's
so
it.
they're a step ahead, but here in Zephaniah it says, but then will I turn I am a pure language. Turn to the people a pure language. See, only Yahweh can separate it and make it pure now.
All right.
But we understand what's clearly not somebody's name,
Hallelujah.
because the Bible was not translated
Y'all right. Tell it like it is. so they
into
have to
Hebrew.
know.
It was translated from Hebrew.
Right.
And they didn't just leave it at, they didn't honor the law that your name is your name no matter where you are. They tried to pass this bogus lie that whatever country you go to, then your name changes.
So they say.
Like, if your name is Peter, then if you go to, I think it's Spain or somewhere, then it's supposed to be Pedro. That's a lie. Your name is what your parents named you.
That right.
So they just did that. The devil did that. So then you would believe the lie that now Yahweh's name is G-O-D. And now Yeshua's name is J-E-S-U-S. So it was all a part of, because everything is spiritual.
That's it. Y'all right.
So it's all a part of getting us to accept and to swallow down some stuff that's a lie.
That's it.
And to stop us from finding out who we are.
Praise
He said,
the mighty
then will
God.
I turn the people to a pure language, that they may call upon Hashem or the name of Yahweh, to ever to serve him with one consent. So not one doing this and one doing that.
Right.
So we're part of those that are going back to the original language. All right, let's go to Exodus. So Paleo-Hebrew, Exodus 13, made up a language family with about 375 languages and more than 300 million speakers. 200 million of Arabic. Remember, Shem people are Arabic.
Okay.
And Ham also has some people that are Arabic. So the original people over there in the Middle East were all black folks.
Okay.
And as Ruach said, you got Japheth over there now, dwelling in the tents of Shem. Alright? So this Paleo-Hebrew was spoken in the Horn of Africa, North Africa, Northern Central Africa, Northern West Africa, and Southwest Asia. Those are the same countries where we saw the Shem's people.
Right.
After the flood, his sons and grandsons inhabited that area. Because of Paleo-Hebrew's disuse by our people, the Shemites. Now, we weren't at the Tower of Babel, not the righteous people. The wicked Shemites were at the Tower of Babel, probably building them bricks.
Yeah, just like today.
So their language got confounded. But because of disuse by Shemites, it became misunderstood. And the ancient form, people say, is almost extinct. But you know what? Yahweh can bring you back.
Yes, He can.
And again, when you know what something is not the name,
Right.
then it's between you and Yahweh whether you want to keep saying something that's not His name.
That's it.
And like I said, Yahweh, He winks and I will never stand up and say the people that were baptized in the name of YHWH will not be in the kingdom.
Right.
That's not on me. Yahweh's mind is bigger than mine.
That's right.
And I have no right to stand up and say that. But I do for myself have a right to stand up and say, I can't be saying YHWH is His name, and I can't be saying God is His name, because Yahweh showed me clearly that is not His name. And what I'm saying may not be the proper pronunciation, but I know it's not God.
Hallelujah.
I know it's not YHWH. So Yahweh would hold me accountable. See, this is an individual thing.
Yes, it is.
He knows what I know. And I'm not going to disrespect Him. And he may take me further and say, okay, you should add this and this and this.
Right.
And so then I'll do that. Because why? I'm seeking to please Him.
That's what He said before He would add to it.
All right, so the ancient form Paleo-Hebrew is thought to be almost extinct. After 200 AD, ancient or Paleo-Hebrew ceased to be a spoken language, even though it remained in literature. The Shemite Hebrew letters, contracts, commerce, science, philosophy, medicine, poetry, and laws written in Paleo-Hebrew are used as models today by the Japhethites.
The mighty God.
Just like the young brother was showing me how people try to say the Greek columns and the Roman columns, and they got them from Ham. So now they're trying to say, oh, we did these. Hey, it's not a shame to use somebody else's stuff.
No, it's not.
Just don't be lying.
Don't stake the claim.
Stop trying to take away. It's like I don't have to step on anybody.
Nope.
To get up higher.
No, you don't. It's enough for everybody.
That's not the way Yahweh does it.
No, He don't.
All right, so we're in Exodus 13 chapter. In 600 BC, the Japhethites, or white, Neo-Babylonian Empire. Now, we just looked at the Tower of Babel.
Right.
Now, those were black folks. Those are Hamites.
Right.
They call them Africans today. They were the ones that were the primary ones building that Tower of Babel. All right? In 600 BC, there was a white Neo or New Babylonian Empire.
Yep.
All right? And that was ruled by Nebuchadnezzar. They took the nation of Israel to Babylon. After 70 years in New Babylon, when the Neo-Persian, the New Persian, remember the first Persians were black. So New Persian, they were Japhethites. Why? Because they dwelt in the tents of Shem.
Yep.
They allowed the Hebrews to return to Jerusalem. And their Paleo-Hebrew was mixed with new dialect. It was combined with Aramaic. All right? And now Yahweh gives us an example of the name change in Exodus 13. And then we'll look at Deuteronomy 16. So we can see where they started changing and saying different things. Exodus 13, let's read verse 4.
Praise Yahweh.
This day came ye out in the month Ibryi.
All right, it says, this Yom came ye out in the month Abib. He's talking to us, our forefathers.
Right.
He said, this Yom came ye out in the month Abib. All right, now let's go to Deuteronomy 16. And he's talking about the same month, but you're going to see that you're going to use another term.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 16. This is after the Babylonian captivity. Deuteronomy 16. And I'm going to read verse 1, Deuteronomy 16.
Praise the mighty Yah.
And if you got verse 1, say praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.
All right. Let's read Deuteronomy 16. And verse 1, please.
Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
He says, observe the month of Abib, and Shema ha-Pesach unto Yahweh thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Mizraim by Layil. So when the nation of Israel came out of Egyptian slavery, the first month of the year was called Abib.
Okay.
That's A-B-I-Y-B. The English word Abib is the Hebrew word Abib. That's A-B-I-Y-B, found at Strong's number 24. And it's from an unused root, meaning to be tender, green, a young ear of corn. It's the name of the month, green ears of corn. All right? Which signifies, according to the Roman calendar, about March or April. Now, let's go to Nehemiah or Nehemiah. Nehemiah, which is right in front of Psalms. Ezra, Nehemiah, Job, Psalms, Nehemiah, the 2nd chapter. All right, Nehemiah 2, let's read verse 1, please.
And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 12th year of Artaxerxes, the king, that wine was before him. And I took up the wine and gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time said in his presence.
All right, so you hear, here they changed the name.
Right.
And it came to pass in the month Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, Hamelech, that Yowm was before him, and I took up Yowm and gave it unto Hamelech. Now it had been not before time said in his presence. So now they're calling it Abib
Right.
Nisan. All right, and you can look at the same thing in Esther,
Okay.
the 3rd chapter.
Father, please take me higher in thinking revelation and spiritual fire.